Chauhan, MSc in Management, and a student at University of Leeds in the UK. Ambassador Mukherjee, I want to understand from your perspective, ma'am, does or could the trade deal with India undercut UK workers, as is being claimed by opposition leaders in Britain?
I think British media outlets are just being unnecessarily nasty. The British Prime Minister, in his public statement after the agreement was signed, said this was a historic deal and the biggest that the UK has signed post-Brexit. And why is it such a big deal for UK? Is because they had thought, once they left EU, that they would be able to sign major trade deals on very favorable terms to the UK with several countries, including India. Instead of which, their economy declined. Then you had the COVID pandemic. Then you had the foolish unilateral sanctions imposed by the Americans and the EU, which Britain supported on Russia, which damaged their economy further. And they did not have a single trade agreement post-Brexit with any major power. Today, if you look at the terms and conditions of the trade agreement, it is a very well-balanced agreement. It opens up the British market for a lot of Indian stuff that we have been trying for a long time. There is a double comprehensive agreement which enables Indians to go and work in UK for less than a year and not pay social security, something that we've been fighting for a long time. But on the other hand, it also opens up the Indian market on sectors that the British are very interested in. It will also attract huge amount of FDI flows from India to UK. How ironic can that be, Devika, for our former colonial powers? But more than that, the unwritten messages, it sends a strong message to President Trump that with his threat of imposing tariffs on anyone whom he gets up in the morning and he's annoyed with, so it's 50% today for someone and 60%, then it's 100%, then it's 500%, etc., is letting India actually negotiate very favorable trade deals with developed countries. In this particular case, not so developed because its GDP is much lower than ours now, but with the EU, it's coming up. And why are these developed country blocs doing it? Because they also are very uneasy with Trump's tariff war and they are looking for new trading partners. So actually, I would say that from a British perspective, the British Prime Minister was absolutely clear and correct when he talked about it being a win-win and talked about it being a historic deal, the first one that Britain has signed post-Brexit. Our Prime Minister said the same, and he talked about the kind of areas where we will be finally be able to get a foothold in, and that includes from traditional sectors like textiles, etc., to non-traditional sectors. In addition, it talks about the huge business opportunities that Indians from India will have in UK and vice versa, and it talks about the huge benefits on both sides. So if the UK media, like the Indian print media here, is bowed down by domestic politics of taking pot shots at each other, they should take a deep breath and look at the fine print. And when you look at the fine print, you'd find it's been very carefully negotiated. And from an Indian perspective, it's also a very big development that this was a trade agreement which Prime Minister's office followed with great interest and encouragement. And it was a trade agreement which marks that India has finally come of age. Because if we are going to be Viksit Bharat, we have to accept trade agreements. We're not a small child anymore hiding in the corners saying, I have to protect my butter, I have to protect my aloo, I have to protect my rice. No, no, no. If you want to be a big player, you have to do these trade agreements. In the beginning, there may be a little bit of bloodshed, but in the long run, to become Viksit, you have to do it. And this is a wake-up call for India. We did it. We'll do it with the EU. We'll do it with the Americans. And those trade agreements we signed 10 years earlier, like with ASEAN, etc., which are not working out well, we will renegotiate them. Absolutely. So that shows there's a new thinking on the part of both sides, UK and India. And speaking now as an Indian, I'm glad that has happened, because I have tried so many times to convince those who have a completely closed mind on FTAs in India that we can't anymore run away from FTAs. They should listen to what Indian economists tell them. They should listen to what Mitali will tell them, I'm sure, the same thing, that we want to be a big boy, you have to behave like a big boy. You're not a small child anymore, hiding under the table. Come out and face the world, face competition, your product ultimately will be better.